Allie with Potomac Beads. Join me in making this Tahiti bracelet. Waves are flowing, you have that nice look to it, and playing around with wire. So gather up your materials, and if you need any, go ahead and click the links below to shop with us online. And we'll get ready to get started. To begin this project, you're going to need a couple materials. You're going to need a wire cutter, a round nose plier, and a needle nose plier. You can also use a bent needle nose pliers if you have that. You're going to be using some 24 gauge wire, and I recommend using Artistic brand or Art Wire, which is a Bead brand, and it's because it's really nice and flexible. I'm going to cut 4 pieces of that 24 gauge round wire. You want to cut 2 pieces that are 12 to 14 inches, making them match in length, and then 2 more pieces that are 30 to 36 inches. I'm going on the shorter side for both, so I have one that's 12 and one that's 30. And then cutting 2 of each of those, so 2 12s, 2 30s. I also have here some round trios, some round duos, some 2 by 3 millimeter rondelles, and some 1.5 by 2 millimeter rondelles. So 2 rondelles and 2 round trio / round duo sizes. Metallic, aqua, sea blue, blue zircon, and turquoise. I also have a clasp guarding clasp here, which we'll add at the end. To begin, we're going to be doing some simple wire working. So I'm going to grab my 2 shorter pieces of wire, and I'm going to do the exact same thing, making a coiled eye pin on the one end. To do so, I'm going to hold about 1.5 inches down, and I'm going to turn my wire to the back 90 degrees. From there, bring the wire over the top of the round nose pliers till it stops on the other side. Flip from the top jaw to the bottom jaw of the pliers and make an eye pin. From here, we're going to take our tongue of our clasp and we are going to poke that into the eye pin. So it's in the middle of that center there. I'm going to take this wire then and wrap once and twice and 3 times along the piece. Go ahead and cut that off. And then I'm going to get ready to attach my bigger wire. So I'm going to do this 2 exact times. Taking my longer piece of wire then, I'm going to pick up on the shorter piece of wire one of my bigger rondelles. I have a far back view going on right now. I'll pull it in closer so that way you can see the wire working going on. So you see that rondelle just kind of hanging out there waiting for another piece of wire. I'm going to take my longer piece, my 30-inch wire, hold it over top of that 24 gauge wire. And I'm going to turn the wire around the shorter piece. So the 24 gauge, now they're the same gauges, so be careful when you pull. Takes a little bit of craftsmanship. Pulling that down, I have 1.5 turns there. I'm going to go back in, slide it a little closer to the bottom, and twist this guy around as well. So I went 3 twists to mimic the 3 twists before. Now you can see these aren't tight along the 24 gauge wire. That's okay, we're going to tighten them up. From here on my shorter wire, I'm going to put 1 of my RounDuo beads and let it fall down against the piece. From here, I'm going to pick up with my longer piece of wire, without poking myself in the face, one of my 1.5 by 2 millimeter, 1 2 by 3 millimeter, and another 1.5 by 2 millimeter. Let that fall down next to your RounDuo. Make sure you're towards the exterior of the clasp, not towards the interior. And you're going to wrap that longer piece of wire with those crystals around your RounDuo bead. So they're sitting to the side of it. And then you're going to take that same 24 gauge wire and wrap once and twice along that piece till you're back to the outside. So see how that's going to kind of decorate that exterior? I'm going to go in now and do the exact same thing on the other side. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to make my coiled eye pin here, and then I'm going to add my rondelle. I'm going to add my wire through that same hole of the RounDuo bead, and there we'll connect. Once you get your second piece on there, you'll see them come to kind of a Y along the clasp. I have my RounDuo bead so that it's through my second piece of my 12-inch wire. With my longer piece here, I'm going to mimic what I just did, and after you add this first one, it gets a lot easier to add the following ones. Let me get my beads on here. I flung my beads everywhere. Get one of my 2x3 millimeter. Another one of my smaller, because you're always going small to big and back down. I have my, and just enough, there we go. All right, so then on the same bead, on the opposite side, you're doing the exact same thing. So you're gonna wrap that around the RounDuo bead, take your longer piece of wire, go toward the interior of that 24 gauge 12-inch wire, wrap once, twice around, and out. From here, we're going to put on a RounTrio. So our next thing to put on is that RounTrio bead, which is a little bit bigger. Going to drop that on and then wrap along the sides, and we'll come back together and I'll show you what we're going to do. So I've gone ahead and done one of my RounTrios just so you can see how it looks, and it stabilizes so much better after that first one. And you're going to go in here, you put on your RounTrio bead. So you have your RounDuo, and you're putting on your RounTrio just through the exterior holes. So you're going to completely skip that interior hole. You're going to take one wire then, and without adding any crystals this time, you're wrapping the exterior once and then twice, just like we did with the other one, but this time here, we're just doing the RounTrio with no beads on the exterior. See how that kind of creates a wave around it? Go around, 1 and 2. I stretch the wire back out as I'm working on it, and after I go around those 2 times, straighten out that center wire, and I'm ready to put on my next of my RounDuos. I'll put my crystals on the exterior and just keep going with that in and out pattern along the whole length of the bracelet. As you progress, it gets easier and easier to kind of control that wire. You can see I'm letting the natural turn happen, and as I hold it, it is actually strengthening the wire almost to the point that it can be a bangle style. I did want to note that as you are creating and you are making this, you're always making sure that your wire is going towards the top and wrapping over the top and then through the bottom. If you happen to do the opposite way, no big deal. It's just a nice thing for the consistency of the project when you're looking at it. In addition to that, if you have a bead that you want to do the same style with just one strand or one bead, you would wrap onto that center piece. You can also use a thicker gauge base, like a 20 gauge base, if you're not using some of these 2-hold, multi-hold beads. But it's really fun to use, and you can use any 2-hold bead for this project. So once you have your bracelet length finished, you need to attach your other side of your clasp guard and clasp to the end. I'm on the last one of my RounDuos, and for me, this was a total of 12 of those little flower sections. I'm going to take my longer piece of wire here and wrap around once, twice, 3 times like I did at the start, and then I'm going to cut off that extra wire. On the other side then here, I'll get my last of my crystals on the side. Do the same thing, let it drop down next to your RounDuo, just like you've been doing, starting over the top, going once, twice, and 3 times around the wire. And then again, making sure you are cutting it off. From here, on each end, I'm going to repeat the same thing that I did at the start. So I'm going to put on one of my rondelles on either side of my wire. Let those drop down to the end. Kind of push them down a little bit just to push down any of that wire working. Grab my round nose pliers. Turn that wire 90 degrees on both sides. Make a loop going over the top of the wire, switching from the top jaw to the bottom jaw, and taking that wire to the back. Same thing, so that's one eye pin there. I'm going to do the same thing on this exterior one. Go ahead and making my eye pin, taking that wire to the back, picking up my clasp and recognizing which way my clasp needs to sit. So I'm going to go in here, put that first loop into my wire, have that one sitting correctly. Then I'm going to do the same thing with the other side here. Going in if I need to, kind of reopening that wire might be your easiest bet. Putting that wire in, pulling that through, so you have that eye pin there. And making sure that it's facing the correct way. So I'll need to twist this up a little bit. Pull that wire through. And then once I'm in there, all I've got to do is coil up my eye pins, just like I did the other side, holding here, coiling the extra, and then trimming off close to the end to finish off your fun Tahiti bracelet. And hopefully should make you want to jump in some waves and go on a nice break from this all. Thanks so much for joining me and having fun making this Tahiti bracelet. Remember, if you do need any materials, check out the links below to shop with us online at PotomacBeads.com as well as PotomacBeads.eu. In addition to being a great and fun bracelet design, you can also do this for a choker, a headband, or even downsize it for just a nice little simple drop pair of earrings. I can't wait to see in our Facebook group for beading and jewelry making your take on the Tahiti bracelet and what you come up with. As always, you can also comment below as well as give a little thumbs up and click to subscribe so you don't miss anything from us here at Potomac Beads. As always, thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this wire working video and you have fun wearing your Tahiti bracelet.